What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and this is going to be a Drax PvP preview of some sorts. I'm going to be using him in PvP at only level 10, and I'm going to team him up with X23. By the way, a quick thank you to Matthew for that graphic. Now this is going to be my setup for this video. It's the Agent and the Tactician in Powered Armor, Drax, and then the Horseman of War Bruiser X23. My first weapon is going to be the Cruel Glaive, which causes bleeding, and also gives my agent a buff called Cruelty. This says I will gain a damage boost after attacking a bleeding enemy, and it stacks up to 3 times. Next I'm using the Scroll of Aknazsak, and that's to keep my buffs, followed by the Neurotrope, and then the Synthetic Cube. By the way, there are certainly plenty of bleed weapons out there that you could use, but I wanted to give the Cruel Glaive a try. On Drax I'm using Offensive Fighter or the Aggressive E-ISO. Since he's only a level 10, we only get to equip 1. And then on X23, we don't get to equip any because she's not a level 13 yet. But even with their handicap, they still do quite well in PvP. To prove this, right away we get tested with a Pestilence Beast and Red Hulk team. Plus, right out of the gate, we get hit with a Gamma Bomb. X23 does get to go next, and we're going to start out with her Blades of Rage. This is a pretty impressive AoE attack that's going to place bleeding on all the enemies. The more stacks of bleeding we can put on the opponents, the better. Next, the enemy Pestilence Beast is going to get a turn, and of course he's going to use his Masque of the Red Death, which could be quite annoying. Then for his attack, he's going to use Heart of Darkness on X23. Then on Drax's turn, we're going to use his quick action Cry for Blood. You can use this every turn and it continues to get better each time. For one, it will cause his attacks to add a stack of bleed. This will grow all the way to 3 stacks. He will also end up gaining critical hits and healing to attacks against bleeding targets. The only downside is, after an enemy successfully hits him with a single target attack, they remove this buff. Because of that, I may try to use a Protector, or at least a Protect weapon in the future. But for this particular setup, we're just going to kind of roll the dice. Regardless, I do think you're going to see that Drax is a pretty good character in PvP. My personal opinion of him has definitely grown as I've continued to use him. He's not what I would call overpowered or top tier, but he is definitely usable and does have a pretty decent damage output. Now after using the first seal to keep our buffs, I'm going to go ahead and disorient the enemies. This could work out pretty great because Red Hulk already uses AoE and Pestilence Beast only has single target attacks. Now the enemy Red Hulk only uses Bulwark, and that's going to be the end of his turn. But hey, you know what? We'll take that. Now I'm going to use our AoE Blades of Rage once again, just to go ahead and run up the bleeding and cause hemorrhaging. But X23 apparently isn't done yet. She's going to use Snikt on all 3 of the enemies. After missing Beast, we finish the enemy agent, and then also put a good hit on Red Hulk. He's now definitely in assassinate range, if we do want to go that route. To be honest though, I'll probably just finish him off with Drax. Speaking of him, Beast hits him once again, and that does make it pretty hard to keep on our buff. However, since it is a quick action, you will use it every single round. Oh, and just to check it, here is the Destroyer's Ire. It applies bleeding to single target attacks, then it increases each time you use Cry for Blood. Then for this attack, I'm going to use his level 9 Daggerfall, and we are going to target Red Hulk. He has 3 stacks of bleeding, and this does exploit bleeds and has deadly crits. So there's nearly a 40k finish from Drax. That's not too bad for level 10 on Red Hulk. Also, trust me, I'm sure he can do much more than that if properly buffed. Now on my agent's turn, I can gain an extra turn because of Momentary Advantage. Then we can also cast a buff action as a quick action. So let's use the Light Fantastic, followed by the Scroll. And then, even though we're pretty weakened, I guess I'll use the Cruel Glaive on Pestilence. Unfortunately, we're not going to do nearly the amount of damage it normally does. But X23 is up next, and she can do some vicious single target damage. Her level 6 Made for Walking is going to make quick work of Beast. What you normally end up seeing is a bunch of critical hits, and then numbers popping up everywhere. So Beast is easily disposed of. Next, we're facing a team that's meant to annoy. That's going to be Falcon and Rescue. Let's see how they stand up to our Drax and X23 team up. First, we have to use that quick action Cry for Blood, and then I can attack that Infiltrator and get a follow-up attack. Let's go ahead and use our level 6 Hack and Slash, and then we'll also get an Obliterate follow-up. This is actually going to put quite a few bleed stacks on Falcon. The only downside is this team definitely has some removal, at least in rescue. And we also do get counterattacked even though we dodge it. Next up is going to be the enemy agent, and he's going to use the Savant Spear on my agent. Then we can use the Neurotrope, the Scroll, and still attack with the Cruel Glaive. In this match, it's going to be doing a lot more damage. Trust me on that one. Since Falcon has 2 stacks of bleeding, I'm actually going to go ahead and hit him with it. This will also give us a stack of Cruelty. So let's go ahead and see what damage we can get. It's a 62,000 damage hit. That's pretty impressive, and I told you it would be a lot better. Our buffs were protected from status reset because of the seal. Then Drax got a counterattack and a Blood for Blood proc. Blood for Blood preemptively counters enemies with Marked for Revenge. And Marked for Revenge causes enemies to take 35% extra damage. But anyways, we used an Assassin Strike, and that does have Fatal Blow. So this annoying Falcon and Rescue team is already almost gone. I really couldn't ask for too much more. Now with Drax, we do have quite a few buffs, and I think I'm going to hit the enemy agent with a Hack and Slash. This does nearly 40,000 damage total. Sadly, we do miss with the follow-up that may have finished him off. But this does leave the enemy agent for our Cruel Glaive. I'm not even going to waste any time, we're just going to use the attack right away. And let's see how much damage we get. 32,000 non-crit. Now moving on to our third and final match of the video, we're facing Quicksilver and Iron Fist. Now let's see if this team up can give us problems. The enemy Quicksilver first goes with the Blinding Punches, followed by a Vortex Lariat. I'll be honest with you, I really hate that early Vortex Lariat, especially when it stuns. Not only that, he already has Back from the Future, so he's going to hit us before we hit him. But actually, I think I'm going to focus on the enemy agent instead, but we'll still get hit with that blast from the past. Still, I'd rather have my agent take it because I think he can put up with quite a bit of damage. I do realize that Iron Fist is going to use Healing Chi on the enemy agent, but still that's better than him hitting us anyways. Next on Drax's turn, I'm going to attack Quicksilver with Obliterate. I would like to place Bleed and Disabled on him because you can lock out his next ability. So for example, Blinding Punches. Next, the enemy agent uses the Mystic on Drax, but it does miss. However, we do get hit with Combo Breaker instead. Fair enough. Now X-23 is going to be stunned because of that Vortex Lariat. I have to admit, that drives me crazy. There's no reason that should ever stun on the first round. Luckily, my agent does get a second turn this time, so we use Momentary Advantage, a Quick Action Light Fantastic, and then I'm going for the Cruel Glaive on their agent once again. This time we should be able to knock him out. Well, let's go ahead and use the second seal first, and that should make sure we knock him out. We now have Ethereal Strike and Ignore Defense. And just like that, there we have a 65k finish. The enemies absolutely hate Drax having his buffs, so they always single target attack him, meaning we have to start back at square one with Cry for Blood. But then I'll use Obliterate on Quicksilver once again. This time we actually managed to hit him for a 30k non-crit. Well, it was just short of 30k, but still that's a pretty nice first ability hit. I only wish we could have seen the numbers from a critical hit. Then X-23 knocks out Quicksilver with an AoE Blades of Rage. That's pretty impressive since he had 32k HP at the start of that attack. And now you can probably guess a Cruel Glaive is going to end this fight. That will also end the video, so I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, good luck, and take care.